Hey, everybody. Good to see you all. Hey, Penny. By the way, Penny Ortiz, you did an incredible job on the live over at another time. If anyone would like to go check that out, go check out Linda at another time. Penny did an interview on a live with her and Heather over at Milk and Honey Heritage Farms. It was very nice to see you in person. Great job on that. How's everybody doing? All right. Let me do a real quick introduction for anybody who's watching this for the first time. Welcome to Mountain Grandma's channel. I'm Mountain Grandma. My name is Tammy, and I've been studying herbs for about 20 years and am currently attending a school to work towards my registered herbalist designation. I love doing this because doing these lives helps me to learn more while all of you are learning more along with me. And I love the great questions. I come to you with largely a clinical research background. That's my jam that I've been involved in for more than 20 years. And stepping into that the first couple of years working in pharmaceutical clinical research is what really drove me to studying herbalism in the first place. And I also I had my degrees biomedical engineering, and I worked with a lot of biomedical engineering students as interns, and I loved doing that. I probably interned around 50 students, and I always learned from them. So that's one of the other reasons I was excited to do this live, because I know from experience that working with other people, whether they're on the same herbal, same plane as you in regards to knowledge, there's always differences. You know what you know. You don't know what someone else knows. But all of us combined are a genius, right? So if you can combine your efforts and help other people, it really is rewarding on both sides. So I am very happy to do this, and I love doing these weekly lives. Here's what you can expect. Every week when we do the Herbal Study Hall, we are going to be covering one herbal concept. We'll be reviewing an herb of the week, an herbal recipe of the week, and I give out like little herbal assignments if you are interested in joining in the fun that way. And we occasionally do a giveaway also. You can participate by subscribing to the channel. We also have memberships, and I do giveaways for our members. Teresa Jukowicz won this last drawing that I did. And Teresa, if you're here or watching the replay, you should have received your package yesterday. So hopefully that came in and you liked all the goodies I sent to you. You can also support the channel by ringing the bell for notifications, hitting the thumbs up for us, being active in the chat, and leaving a comment. So don't forget to comment on the video. If you're here in the live, in the chat right now, it helps the channel if you go and you leave a comment also. And if you have a channel and you can share this live out, that also helps us. So let's see, what else? Oh, okay. Our medical, we've got to do this disclaimer, guys. Do this at the beginning of all of these. So here's the disclaimer. And hello, Making It Home 1776. I'm so grateful to have you all here. Carolina OMA staff, Penny Ortiz, Ann Philbeck, Marianne, Robin. Good to see all of you guys. It's so fun, too, when I get to see some of the same names in the live that's here. And appreciate all of you that are watching the live on replay as well. All right, so medical disclaimer before we get started. Quick reminder. This live is for educational purposes only. I'm not a medical professional. Nothing shared here is meant to diagnose, treat, or replace medical advice from a qualified healthcare provider. Herbalism is supportive, but everyone's body and health history are different, and we're all unique, right? So please talk with your doctor or another licensed professional before trying any new herbs, especially if you're pregnant, nursing, or you have any other medical conditions, or if you're on any medications. This space is all about learning and exploring herbs as plants and understanding them and exploring herbal traditions. It's not about giving personal medical advice. All right. Grab your tea. It is tea time, friends, and we can go ahead and get started with this week's lesson. And while I'm pulling my notes together to chat, can you all share in the chat? Have you done any herby things in the last week? And if you're drinking any herbal tea with me, let me know what you got in your cup. I'd love to hear it. All right. So last week we did a brief summary of all of the, I'm just realizing I printed this out in black and white, and one of my things was in a colored ink that's not showing up here. Okay. Last week we did a review of the first 4 lessons. So we've already talked about like Western TCM and Ayurvedic herbal medicine. Those are the things that I've been studying. We talked about why a monograph is important and why you should be making your own as you go and as you learn. We talked about herbal energetics, and we kind of dived in a little bit deep on hot versus cold, moist versus dry. And today we're talking about herbal energetics again, but we're going to talk about relaxing herbs. As we mentioned previously, you've got hot, cold, damp, dry, relaxing, toning, and relaxing is a lot. So I didn't do relaxing and toning in this one, in one session. We're going to do relaxing today, and we'll do toning herbs next week. Also, there's movement, dispersing, grounding, and intensity, subtle, strong. So those are like all of your herbal energetics. I would say the ones that I really hear the most about in the course that I'm taking and that most herbalists focus on really is the hot, cold, damp, dry, relaxing, and toning. And that's probably tonifying. And that's probably as far as I'm going to go with digging into the weeds. And then we'll move on to the next thing after we get through this section, I guess you could say. All right. So anybody have any questions so far? I'll come up for a breath. Let's see what everyone's having. Green tea, matcha raspberry with 1 teaspoon honey. Yum. Turmeric, ginger, and black seed cumin tonight. Awesome, Anne. And Anne said, I found out the cumin black seed helps turmeric absorb. Yep. Yeah. Awesome. Those all sound good. I'm drinking holy basil. That's mine for tonight. All right. So let's talk about relaxing herbs. And I think everybody's going to be surprised at what I found out in my notes. I thought, let's go look at relaxing herbs, lemon balm, which is going to be the herb of the week, by the way. I see Troy is here. Good to see you, Troy. But what I found out was relaxing herbs actually includes more than that. So let's talk about this, shall we? I think everybody might be interested to hear that if you look up relaxing herbs and you start talking about what a relaxing herb is, well, then you start talking about, well, that's going to be the herb's effect on the body. So how exactly is this, working out? And diaphoretics. And if anybody doesn't know what a diaphoretic is, it's basically an herb that helps your body to sweat. But what it's really doing in TCM, they're referred to as surface releasing herbs. They actually relax the surface tension of your skin, opening your pores so that you can sweat. And they're not just warming. There's actually cooling and warming diaphoretics. So I wanted to share that. There's surprise number 1. I was not expecting that when I went to go look for relaxing herbs. So see what I mean? I'm teaching you all are teaching me. I am the volunteer rabbit to jump down the rabbit hole and share with you guys what I find. And I love my place there. So thank you all so much for the great questions and the great suggestions for topics and things. Another thing that it doesn't, does anyone want to take a stab at another action that's considered relaxing, but it's not necessarily going to be in what you think of as, relaxing as in chilling out and calming down or going to sleep. Anybody want to take a guess at another action that could be considered a relaxing action? We talked about diaphoretics, so that's what I mean about action. You're so welcome, Steph. It's fun for me. I'm a nerd at heart. All right, so it was a pretty open-ended question there. I'm going to share another one that I found out with you all, and we talked about these herbs last time, demulcent herbs. And just a reminder, demulcent herbs are your moistening herbs. And your moistening herbs, if you think about it, think about the effect on the tissue. So if you've got picture really dry, inflamed, tight tissue, you know how it gets when it gets dry and inflamed. The moistening herbs go in and they are soothing, and they could be considered relaxing too. Yep, St. John's wort would be like a nervine. And that's coming up here in just a minute. And we're almost there, Anne. But you're right. You're right about that. Another action that would be considered relaxing. Does anyone want to guess another action? We've talked about diaphoretics. We talked about demulcents. Anybody want to take a stab at another action? Not necessarily an herb, but an herbal action that could be relaxing. I know this might be a hard one. I was surprised by this next. I was surprised by the list. Once I started diving in, I was like, oh yeah, of course. Do you know what's not relaxing? Laxatives. Is anybody else here surprised by that? Because I was. And I don't know, maybe I need to do a whole class on that. I was like, what? But it says lax. But it's not considered those herbs that fall in that category. They might be demulcent, but they're not considered, they're not our relaxing herbs like we're going to talk about. And I figured they would be on the list. I figured I'd see laxative herbs, and I did not. So the next one is antispasmodic. So and that makes sense, right? If you think of any antispasmodic conditions, you could be thinking of maybe spasmodic coughs, right? Where you're coughing and coughing and coughing. That could be one. You've got an antispasmodic herb is going to help with that. And that's going to be relaxing, right? To that. What about muscle cramps? You ever get the twitching, right? Because you need more magnesium or something. Yeah, antispasmodic. That's right, Steph. Also, like menstrual cramps. There's cramping. Gallbladder attacks. The cramping that occurs in your gallbladder. So these are all spasmodic occurrences, right? And an antispasmodic herb will help. And even though those were not what everyone was looking for when we're going to talk about relaxing herbs. And I'm not going to dive into the weeds too much with these guys, because we could do each one of these as a separate class. And I was thinking that's what we'll do with those. But there's one more that I need to mention that has to do with relaxing, and that's our nervines. And a nervine is an herb that's going to support, soothe, and it's going to be nourishing to your nervous system. And some herbs are going to be more nourishing for maybe one area than they are another area of the body. But there's actually, even when you dive deep, and how I'm going to do this is kind of break it down, because there's actually different types of nervines. You've got your toning and strengthening nervines, but remember, next class, we're going to talk about tonifying herbs. So there's actually a lot of different kinds of tonifying herbs that could fall into different categories. So that's what I'm going to share with you all next time. So we're not going to get into the weeds too much, but I can tell you tonifying, nourishing herb, first thing that comes to my mind is oat straw, as far as a nervine that's nourishing and toning. You've also got stimulating or stimulant nervines, and lemon balm falls into that category. And that's our herb of the week is lemon balm. Penny Ortiz said, mullein herb is used for relaxing herb in Native American culture. Yep. And if anybody wants to see what that's all about, all you got to do is drink a mullein tea, and you will realize how relaxed you end up being after drinking that tea. And then you've got tonifying, that's strengthening and nourishing. Second one is your stimulant nervine, right? Like lemon balm. And then you've got calming nervines. That's like first level relaxation. Yes, Robin, skullcap. Skullcap's in the list. One of my favorite ones too. And then you've got sedatives that actually promote sleep. Hey, Gail, good to see you. Thank you for coming. So now let's go ahead and bounce into some of these nervines, shall we? Our relaxing herbs for the night. Does anybody want to? We've seen a couple people drop some herbs in. Anybody else want to shout out an herb, and I'll tell you, and we can talk about chamomile, ginger, and pepper. Wonderful combination right there. That's funny because our herbal recipe of the night, I'm sharing a tea and it's got 2 of those that are in it. Any other suggestions on nervine herbs that are relaxing, calming? Anyone else? All right, let me see if I can share without freezing up. Hold on. Let me do this. Get my notes ready. I'm going to block my camera real quick while I do this because I know it's going to make me freeze while I look. Get my notes right where I want them to be. Okay. Come back. All right, let me go ahead and share my camera. Share screen. Window. I think I want this guy. Can you see me, and am I frozen? Okay, good. I'm not frozen. I should get this up on my phone too, just in case, so I can see the chat better. All right. Do you all see what's on the chat? I want to share with you, or on the screen. I have these separated in. These are my notes. These are my study notes. Oh, hold on. Let me turn off this guy. There we go. That's probably easier to look at. These are my study notes. So what I'm doing as I do these lives is I'm creating my study notes for myself for all of my, future preparations for my registered herbalist designation. And then I'm sharing them with you guys as I create them. And I'm trying to put them in an order for myself that makes sense. Okay. You can see here, I've got 3 different columns of these that are set up here. Stimulating, calming, and sedative. So let's talk about the uplifting, and what it means by stimulating is just uplifting. And let's talk about those first. There's the peppermint. Steph was right on that one. And we've also got rosemary. Focus on this row over here. We've got rosemary. We have lemon balm, holy basil, He-wan-wa, or it's actually pronounced He-wan-wa, which is albizia flower, chen pai, which is aged citrus, bo he, which is mint, and zhong fu, which is cyperus, not cypress, just to be clear on that. Completely different plant, not your cypress. And then Ayurveda, we have Tulsi, which is the same as holy basil, right? Gotu kola, calamus, and saffron. So these are all of your stimulant nervines. And can anyone tell me when you would prefer a stimulant nervine over a calming or a sedative one? Anyone want to throw a shot or a suggestion into the chat about when you would prefer a stimulant, nervine, over one that is calming or sedative? What kind of situation would you be dealing with? Any ideas? Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes. Steph, perfect. A pick-me-up and help with depression. Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of, Anne. Mm-hmm. Morning, probably. It depends. But it's not going to be making you really tired. Robin, you got it. You don't want to be tired. Maybe you're just feeling really anxious. Or whoever you're thinking of giving this to. It's somebody who is just feeling really anxious. You just want to settle them, maybe not calm them. And maybe if they're feeling a little bit down, because they are uplifting. So think about how you feel when you smell peppermint or rosemary. Fatigue. If you already are in a situation where you have fatigue, but you're feeling frazzled maybe, and you want to feel settled, but you can't take a nap. It's not time for that. Yep, Penny. That's right. Panic attack, Gail. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends on how bad it is. Like, it's real bad. I don't know. Good job, everybody. Okay, let's move to, and this isn't an all-inclusive list. I mean, I could have pulled more. I tried to kind of split them up for anybody else who's studying traditional Chinese medicine and wanted to see some of these herbs in here. And I'm trying to familiarize myself more with those also. So, all right, let's move on to the next level. And the next level, we could think coming from stimulants, nervine, to a calming nervine. So it's not going to put you to sleep, but it's all these guys. But it is going to be calming. I mean, it kind of depends. It kind of depends on how tired you are. Like sometimes you can be so exhausted that, it doesn't take much. But we've got at the top of the list here, lemon balm, great daytime tea, right? Chamomile, lavender, love lavender, linden, skullcap, one of my favorites, and I'll talk about him a little bit more in a minute. And then our TCMs right here in red are Ziziphus jujube seed. Again, the Huan Pai, a little different. This was the albizia flower. This is albizia bark. Baiji Ren, and I hope I'm saying these right. I might not be, so forgive me for anybody who knows how to say these correctly. I'm still learning. Yi Zhao Tang, that's polygonum vine, not polygonatum. It's different, polygonum. And then also our Ayurvedic herbs, Brahmi, which is also called Bacopa. I hear it by Bacopa more than I hear it by Brahmi, to be honest. Shank Pushpi and Jatamansi, which is a new one to me. And Gotacola. I love Gotacola. So these are our calming herbs, and I'm going to scroll back up and kind of chat about these. So lemon balm is our herb of the night. Probably should put that guy in bold. And let's talk about chamomile. I know everybody knows about chamomile. Did you know, I have a friend who, she did clinical research in an OBGYN clinic. She said there was always women coming in having early contractions from drinking chamomile tea. So just so you know, a lot of people think chamomile tea, perfect for when you're pregnant and you're frazzled. Maybe no, not necessarily. So Just thought I'd share that. Hey, Heather, good to see you. And I think I saw Oki's Eden come in. Let me move my little, you guys can, what I'm seeing on my screen is just what I'm sharing with you. So I want to take a second and recognize some folks that have joined us. Oki's Eden, hello. Connie Darden, hello. Mugwort, yes, mugwort. I grew that last year. That's on my list of ones I'm still learning about. Oops, am I in the wrong thing? Yeah, sorry guys. Okay, here we are. Wait, I need to be over here too. Don't mind me while I fumble around. Okay. Lavender, I think we're all friends with lavender. Such a wonderful herb. Has anybody had any experience with linden? Put a 1 in the chat if you've had any experience with linden, whether it's trying it in a tea or just reading about it. Put a 1 in the chat for me if you know much about linden. Awesome, Heather. Anyone else? I had 2 trees. They didn't make it. Darn it. All right. We might talk about that one in the future. It's not super common herb. It's a hypotensive herb. It's really effective. It tastes good. It's really a nice tea. Skullcap. What about skullcap? Put a 1 for yes or a 2 for no. Have not worked with skullcap much and don't know much about it if it's 2. Hey, Urban Roots and Remedies. Okay, 1 for if you know skullcap, 2 for if you don't. And this is skullcap laterifolia. There's another one, Bakel skullcap, that is a Chinese herb, but I'm not talking about that one. They're 2 totally different herbs. It's just skullcap laterifolia. 1 if you know it, 2 if you don't. I'm reading the chat here if you see me laugh for no reason. All right. Skullcap's one of my favorites. I think I might do a monograph on that with you guys one of these times. You've got it growing in your plant room, Urban Roots and Remedies. That's awesome. That is one that I'm wanting to grow this year. But I love this herb. It's a quiet your mind herb. It's really nice to have at nighttime. It's in the tea recipe that I'm going to be sharing with you all this evening. And I just love it. I love it. If you're a busy brain, that might be an herb you want to look into. It definitely helps me because I get a lot of chitter chatter going on. All right. Okay. What else? All right. Now let's go ahead and move on to, hey, one last question before we do. Anybody know about Gotu Kola? Is that one that you know? 1 for yes, 2 for no. I love that herb too. I like it as a glycerite. Okay. Maybe that's another one. Maybe we can talk about like nootropics or, brain healthy herbs one of these times, and Gotu Kola would be on that list. It's a good herb they suggest for anybody who feels like they're getting, early stage Alzheimer's or something. And it's got a really great safety profile to it. Okay, let's go ahead and, yep, ginkgo is also in, yep. So a ginkgo Gotu Kola combo is really nice. Plus, you can infuse Gotu Kola in oil and it's really good for your skin. Fun herb. I love herbs that I can use in multiple ways like that. All right. Are we ready for talking about the sedative herbs? Give me a thumbs up if y'all are ready. Thumbs up if you're ready to go on to these guys. And our sedative list is actually not as long. It's a little bit shorter. Oops. All right. Okay, at the top of the list is hops. That I think it was Robin that mentioned hops. So hops is at the top of the list, and I think all of us are aware of passion flower and California poppy on the level of being, calming to sedating. The passion flower, California poppy, I mean, we know hops is in beer, like that. All of those are very calming and sedating, and those are our strong ones. Also ziziphus, oyster shell, polygonum vine, muli, and I won't say them in Chinese, but for the Chinese herbs, there was one that I didn't put on the list, and it was dragon bone. And I don't know. Like, I don't know enough about dragon bone to share it on the list yet. I'll have to look into that one more, but it really is a bone. It's like a fossil, and they use that in some of their remedies, but it's going to be used in a combination with a lot of other herbs, right? So I didn't feel comfortable enough putting that on the list, but it's there for anybody who's watching. Absolutely, kava kava. And I think with kava kava, that's going to be calming or sedative. I feel like it would fall right in between those two. That's a good one, though. I should have added that to the list. I'm just debating. I want to say it's probably more sedative than it is just calming, to be honest. But I just know that they have kava kava bars in places. So it's one of those, it depends on how much you drink too, kind of things. But people will start to drink kava kava like it's a beer or something. But you can't drink kava kava at the same time as beer because they both hit your liver. You could have some serious damage happen. That's what I know about the kava kava. And it's supposed to taste really good. All right. So moving on to the Ayurvedic herbs, the Jatamansi. I've not had experience with that. Tagara, I haven't either, but interesting. It's valeriana. So I'm betting it's in the same family as valerian root, right? Which is on this list up here somewhere. Should be. Where's my valerian root? There it is, up here at the top. Knew I had that one there. Ashwagandha, which I thought was interesting. And I did put the note here, sedative in high doses, because I've been taking ashwagandha every day in the morning, and I do not find that it makes me sleepy. But it does say in high doses. Otherwise, I would consider moving this guy over here or here for me, for my personal experience with it. And then nutmeg. And I was on a podcast. Was it a webinar once? And it was all about Ayurvedic herbal medicine. And they were talking about some remedies for insomnia. And they were talking about how they would put certain ingredients in the tea because nutmeg has a little bit of a delayed reaction, but it can keep you asleep for longer than some of the other herbs. Is both a calming and sedative herb, well used by American. Is ashwagandha? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love ashwagandha. It's been good to me. Mm-hmm. But I thought that was interesting about the nutmeg and thought I would share that with you guys. Does anyone have any questions before we roll over to the lemon balm monograph? Mm-hmm. And when it comes to, I feel like there's some interesting things. If you're trying to get your own body in balance or somebody else's body in balance for healing, the first thing that you need to do is work on two things, your gut health and your sleep. Because the whole thing with herbs is you get your body to a state where your body can work on healing itself, right? So naturally, you want to make sure you sleep because if you're not getting good rest, your body isn't having the prime opportunity to be able to heal. And you want to make sure your gut health is correct or you're working on getting it as healthy as possible because otherwise all the herbs and the food that you eat and everything, it's not going to absorb well into your digestive system. So, all right. Let me go ahead. I'm going to stop sharing for just a minute. Have I missed any questions? Anybody have any questions for me? Or for anybody, like you could put a question if, and me or someone in the chat would be happy to answer you. We got some smart folks in here. Hops are fun to grow. They're also beautiful, Heather. I see aged citrus on the list. What fruits do they use? Okay, so that would be aged citrus. On my list, I'm thinking, is that the Triphala? Hold on. Am I frozen? Make sure I'm not frozen. Okay. Oh, chen pai. That was the aged citrus peel. It's a Chinese. It's a Chinese herb. It's a Chinese citrus, and it's called chen pai. That's what that is. Gail, to answer your question. I was thinking of Triphala too, because Triphala, I think it might be, I'd have to look it up. Triphala, does it contain chen pai? Might be like amla. I think those might be the same thing. Triphala is a great herb for gut health, especially if anybody has a struggle with like constipation. It's also great for detoxing, that kind of thing. I buy it as a powder. I get it from, I think I shared the bag on one of our chats. But maybe I need to do a class on like gut health herbs, which would be like the bitters, right? Maybe some of that. It's so much stuff goes into it. I hope y'all are thinking about too, when I was talking about what we mean by relaxing herbs and antispasmodics and the diaphoretics and demulcent herbs, if somebody's not sleeping well, something could be up. I mean, obviously it is, but it could be more than just they're sleeping in and then they're, just used to staying up late. If you're dealing with somebody who's not resting because they're getting leg cramps at night, because they're getting some other kind of uncomfortable thing going on, they need more than just something to make them sleep, right? Like their body is really screaming that, hey, I'm out of balance. Something is wrong here. So I thought it was nice to hear about these other relaxing herbs, because there's probably more that needs to be done than just a, sedative tea, right? Oh, I was going to share one more thing. I almost forgot to mention this. Let me share my screen real quick. Valerian root, well, I guess I don't have to share it to talk about it. Valerian root that's on the list is one of the sedatives. Has anybody ever used that in any fashion? Making a tea with it, a tincture? Have you studied it? Have you smelled it? Has anybody done any of that with valerian root? 1 in the chat for yes, 2 for no. It smells horrible. In a tea blend, it's not awful though. It's in a tea blend. But I wanted to point out another fun fact about valerian root, even though it's not the herb of the week. So valerian root smells like stinky feet. It's a horrible smelling herb. When I made a tincture with it, and just the process of me blending it and mixing it up to make the tincture, it was when the kids were younger. I had everybody out of their rooms coming into the kitchen to see what in the world, what was I stinking up the house with? And it was the valerian root. Yes, it's that bad, but it is a great addition to a sleepy time tea. And what I also found out, another fun fact about that, if you grow it in your garden, it's going to end up being like kind of like a horseradish root. Like I heard that when you start the root to go in and it's established itself, it'll kind of pop up in different places. And I thought that was kind of neat to know. And then another thing about that, in the kids' I bought one of those, there's the herb games for children. I bought one of those for my grandbabies, and my grandbabies know their herbs. They're so awesome. But we were playing the board game, and it said herb for fear. What herb is that? It was valerian root. So I have a horrible fear of going to the dentist. And I made myself a valerian root tea with a couple other things in there, because back to the whole, flavor thing. Hey, Arc Wild Man, good to see you. And let me tell you, it worked. It was about as effective as the nitrous oxide. I am not kidding you, because they don't do nitrous oxide in Missouri for whatever reason. They do it in Arizona, and I'd always pay extra just to get it, but not here. But it treats fear. Isn't that interesting? I thought that was so fascinating. And I didn't know until I'm playing my children's board game, my grandbaby's board game, right? It is, Heather. If anybody has grandkids or kids, and you'd love for them to make an herb game for the kiddos, you should look it up. There's only one out there, so I can't remember who it is that made that, but Google it and you'll find it, because there's not a whole bunch of them. It's really fun. They have to go through this whole thing. Nobody wins until they're all at the end together. And the goal is, so at first you're like, what? No winner? Come on now. But it's really cool, because in herbal medicine, we're all about healing ourselves and our families together, right? So they have to get the end together, and there's just different things they come across. They have to pick an herb that's going to work for that. It's really cool. But I learned it on that game about valerian root, so I thought I'd share that with you guys. All right. Now let me go ahead and share my screen, and we will hop over to our lemon balm monograph. Hopefully I don't freeze up. Okay. Let me scroll up. So let me see how it looks to you guys. Okay. Here it is. I've got my phone here too, in case I can't see the chat sometimes. Oh, hey, Homesteader Rachel. Thanks for coming. All right. Disclaimer here. I almost didn't do lemon balm because I thought lemon balm's not going to be fun for me. I already know lemon balm. I grow lemon balm. I've got a big lemon balm patch. I did a lemon balm video. I made 8 different products with this lemon balm. I know about lemon balm. This isn't a fun one for me, right? I just see, I have fun doing this stuff. I have fun learning. So, but I thought, no, I'm going to do lemon balm. Somebody asked for it, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. Plus, I need to have monographs for all of these herbs that I already know. That's my goal. Get a monograph for every single herb that I know. I want to encourage all of you to do the same thing. And you can create your own monograph template. I did a live on this if you want to go back and watch that. But this is my template. So lemon balm is Melissa officinalis. It's in the mint family. It is a bushy perennial that will grow. It says 1.5 to 2 feet tall. I don't know, like in the bushy part, like mine is more like I've got a big patch of it. You can see it in my lemon balm video. I don't know that I would have described it as bushy. So I thought that was kind of interesting. 1.5 to 2 feet tall. Yes. I would say more like 1 foot to 1.5 foot, but then it starts to get a flower stalk on it, when it starts going to seed, it'll get taller, but the leaves themselves, I try to keep cutting off like the top third to harvest. And I need to harvest like crazy this year because I got lazy last year and ran out of lemon balm during the winter. In the summer, it does produce the tiny white to pale yellow little flowers on it. But it's proliferative. It loves the sun, but it can tolerate shade. If anybody here is thinking about growing lemon balm, and mine's in the sun, and then it does get shaded like in the later afternoon. It'll thrive in well-drained, moderately rich soil, avoids waterlogged conditions. It definitely doesn't get that in where it is on my woods. Moderate moisture while establishing, but then it does become fairly drought tolerant. And I have to tell you, that is true. Like at a certain time of the year, it'll start to get drier out there where I have it right. So we have 15 acres and most of it's wooded. And my goal is to try to build up my herbal patches outside of our main grassy area so that it's kind of in the woods, right? And your deer don't eat your lemon balm either, which is really nice. It spreads readily by roots and self seeds. and it may need containment. If you're going to put it in a garden, it might go a little more hog wild than you care for it to. But it's in the winter, mine has leaves over it, and it really likes that. It likes to be mulched until spring. It's perennial in zones 4 to 9. I live in zone 6, and it is very winter hardy, and we can have like negative, with wind chill, negative 20. It gets pretty darn cold here sometimes. And it says that there could be a problem with aphids or powdery mildew in humid, crowded conditions. I will say mine seems to do just fine. I don't ever have aphids or any bugs over there, which is why one of the things I wanted to make out of it was a bug repellent, because I'm like, this thing is repelling bugs. Like maybe I could use it in my bug repellent that I make. But it is a wonderful plant to grow. It's very rewarding. Doesn't it help to suppress appetite? I did not read that. I mean, it doesn't mean that it doesn't. It just means I didn't read it. I'll share with you all the books that I use to look up stuff. But you look it up real quick for us, Heather, if you can. Inquiring minds want to know now, is lemon balm invasive like other mints? I wouldn't say. It depends on how ideal the place is that you're going to plant it. It'd be, to me, it would just be a wonderfully invasive plant to have. Like I had oregano jump out of a garden bed and end up in my grass. And I tell my husband, don't mow right here. This is a lemon balm patch that's just doing whatever it wants to do. And I let it. So it kind of depends. Maybe it could, Tamara, but I don't think so. It might help keep bugs away too. The parts used are the leaves. I've never used the flowers, just the leaves. And wasn't a lot that I could find, beyond the essential oil and vitamins and minerals. But vitamin C and thiamine, those are the two that tend to be mentioned. So as far as everything else goes, it has those more than anything. Energetics are cooling. But what was interesting was in one place, I found that it said it was slightly warming. And I thought that was interesting. I have found, because I make a lemon balm salve, and I just like to use the salve as lip balm. I will put it on my hands if I've got dry skin. That's one thing nice about having salves and making your own stuff, is one thing could have, a lot of different uses. If I'm getting muscle tightness in my neck or my shoulder, like right here, I can tell you where it happens. I can put some lemon balm salve on that and rub it in. And I don't know, it feels like it helps a little bit. And I didn't even read that anywhere. I'm just an experience that I've had. But what I did see was it's a mild antidepressant. So kind of going back to that uplifting sedative. Or uplifting nervine, not a sedative, right? Is that it's uplifting. It lifts up your mood and it kind of calms you. Mild antidepressant. It's also antiseptic. So if you had a cut or something and it's all you had available, you could, put that on there to, prevent any infections or anything. Antithyrotropic, and that's talking about your thyroid. We're going to see that just here in a minute. Antiviral. It's also very aromatic, carminative, diaphoretic, anxiolytic, meaning, great at treating anxiety, anti-inflammatory, nervine, vasodilating, and hypotensive. And TCM talk for any of my traditional Chinese medicine friends out there. The channels that are entered, and I'll show you the books again that I got this from. Stomach, liver, and heart. It clears heat, dispels wind, resolves the exterior, opens the stomach, facilitates the flow of qi in the middle, and it stops pain. If we want to talk about traditional uses, which I know is helpful to a lot of people, see if I'm forgetting anything. Mine is extremely invasive in my herb garden. I have to keep ripping it out from choking out other herbs. Interesting. Rip it out, put it right in your dehydrator. That's what I'd say. What is it? What's that link that you shared, Heather? What's that? Is that talking about lemon balm and suppressing appetite, or? Let me see here. Okay. Traditional uses, useful for colds, digestive upset, flu, which I spelled wrong. Let me fix that typo. There we go. Used in combo, sorry guys, with bugleweed to calm an overactive thyroid, helpful for nervousness that affects the heart and digestion. Uplifting, helps to ease sadness and depression, calms mania and hysteria, enhances sleep, and it's also a memory aid and great for concentration. And this is a quote: indicated with anxiety, restlessness, palpitations, headache, depression, hypertension, and irritability associated with stress or hyperthyroidism. That is everything you said. Oh, okay. Yours does grow like a bush? Huh. That's interesting. I mean, maybe it's just, mine has such a huge area that it just kind of sprawls out and there's different plants. I wouldn't say any one of them ends up being all bushy and clumped. When I think of a bush, I think of like, you know, like a rosemary bush or something. All right, the diagnostic, I loved this little quote that I pulled from one of the books. The diagnostic picture for lemon balm is one associated with hyperthyroidism, anxiety, restlessness, palpitations, headache, and irritability. And then I went ahead and I wrote all of this down in my notes. I've got the quote and I've got the reference here too. It interferes with the binding of TSH to thyroid cell membranes, inhibits iodothyronine deiodinase, thereby preventing incorporation of iodine into T4 synthesis and peripheral conversion of T4 to T3, and blocks the thyroid binding of the stimulating autoantibodies found in Graves' disease. So we will be talking about contraindications in just a minute, and you're all going to guess right if you're thinking it's contraindicated for hypothyroidism, because it is. Also, local antiviral used topically for herpes viruses. It contains lysine, and you can buy lip balms that have lysine for treating cold sores. That's what's one of the things that's in lemon balm. So used topically for herpes viruses, including cold sores and shingles. Great in combination with St. John's wort and cedar. For this, both as an oil or tincture to be taken internally as well. So if you had an eruptive event, you could use that topically and also take it orally as well. Let's see. What am I missing? Yep. It's a no-no for hypothyroid, Robin. You're 100% correct. So TCM major combinations, again, for any traditional Chinese medicine folks. Combine it with Xiao Chai Hu Tong for patients with a Shaoyang pattern with pronounced heart vexation. Sorry, fix my typo. And I'll fix that later. Combined with Yin Chao San for wind heat invasion, combined with heart vexation, combined with Song Zhu Yin for wind heat, fettering the lungs, combined with cough and irritability. And you could also combine it with catnip for digestive pain in children who are agitated and perhaps having difficulty sleeping. Combine it with Mi Gui Hua for liver constraint with vexation, irritability, and difficulty sleeping. All right, moving on. We've got 6 minutes. Absolutely contraindicated for anybody with hyperthyroidism. This doesn't mean you can't use it in your soap. It's not, I know some people like to use herbal oils to make soaps and things. And I have not found any literature to support that a topical use on a cold sore or something would, have any problems for you. I mean, you don't want to eat it. It all, is kind of based too on how much is it, right? And usually it's going to be such a small amount in such a small area that you would use it. And soap, you lather up, wash off. Like, I don't see any problem with that, but up to you. Be careful. Do your due diligence in looking into things for yourself, and just be careful with yourself and listen to your body. All right, preparation type. A weak infusion is a hot infusion, steep for 30 minutes, 8 ounces, a cup, basically 1 to 4 times a day. I don't even steep mine for 30 minutes. Like, I don't need to. I mean, that'd be really strong. Kind of depends, on your taste preference. Cold infusion. It's a great herb for steeping in cold water, 4 to 8 hours, 4 to 8 ounces, 1 to 4 times a day. I mean, you can make this as a tincture, and I have. You can make it as a glycerite, but why? I mean, honestly, it tastes so wonderful that, I just don't know why anybody would want to, but you can. I will tell you in my lemon balm video when I made some things, if you're going to infuse it for like a cleaning supply, a cleaner or something, it's going to be really dark. Just kind of a plug on that. It's going to infuse into a very dark solution. But the oil is nice and the tea is amazing. Those are my two favorite things. Yeah. And okay, here's my references. I'll show you guys. We'll do a book share here in just a minute. Also a couple of clinical trials here. If you guys, they're both in phytomedicine. If you want to screenshot that to take a look at that. I love to use a lemon balm oil, infused oil for all of my lip balms, because why not? I mean, and I don't even get cold sores, but why not? It just feels wonderful. It's great for your skin. I just really like it. All right. Let me share with you my books real quick. Okay. All right. So the books that I found helpful, let me see if there's anything in here that I wanted to share with you guys too. I think I pretty much did a really good job of getting this all in my notes. This one, Western Herbs in Chinese Medicine, Methodology and Materia Medica by Thomas Avery Garan. He's also the owner and instructor of the school that I'm attending. This was a really good book. And what I loved about it was that he's a history buff. So it's really cool. He'll go through and do the research, and he shares some quotes from some literature written in 1640 about the use of lemon balm. For example, here's one written by a Greek physician, 1st century, and it says, "It is the property of balm, lemon balm, to cause the mind and heart to become merry, to revive the fainting heart falling into swoonings, to strengthen the weakness of the spirits and heart, and to comfort them, especially such who are overtaken in their sleep, therewith taking away all motion of the pulse, to drive away all troublesome cares and thoughts of the mind, whether those passions rise from melancholy, or black choler, which I think might have been a sickness, or burnt phlegm. Avicenne confirmeth in his book of medicines." So this guy in the 1st century is even referencing an older book by saying that Avicenne confirmeth in his book of medicines, whoever the heck that person is. But I really enjoyed the information in here. It gives you, of course, the TCM twist on it, but that was really cool. And then I also used this book here. You guys have seen me share this one before. From the Heart of the Earth. I'm going to peek real quick. How are we doing? We got 2 minutes. Yeah, not for hypothyroidism. And this one's the one that has, I like when she shares herbs, she'll say, here's your mental picture of the person that this is ideal for. And I like that she does that. That's one thing I like about. And this is also the book that I had all the T4, T3 stuff that you saw in my notes came from this one. And then the other one that I referenced for this week's lesson is The Way of Herbs by Michael Tierra. And this one was really nice because when I started looking up relaxing herbs, this is where I found all of the breakdown of how, when you say relaxing, the different things it could mean. So I hope that herb share helps you guys. Anybody have any questions before we wrap it up? Thank you all so much for coming. If you can share this out with friends that you think might be interested, that'd be great. And I will see you all next Tuesday. We're going to be talking about tonifying herbs. If you have any special requests or questions, feel free to reach out to me by email too. Thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your week. Bye, guys.